Hello students, good morning and welcome again. So I am discussing today ear, the human ear, as I had said in my last video. Alright, here we all know two functions. They are the hearing function and also maintaining the balance of the body. Fine, okay. So that we are all know and we have studied about, you all have studied about ear in your earlier classes, especially in class 10. So what is actually happening? The pinna, that is the external ear, is receiving vibrations from the air. Okay. So this is this membrane. This is the external ear, which is also called pinna. So it is having fine hairs, okay, and some glands, and this pinna is receiving vibrations from the air, which is carried through the canal, auditory canal, external auditory canal, to the eardrum, which is also known as tympanic membrane. This you all remember. So these vibrations have been received by the external ear, that is pinna, and they have been carried to the eardrum, that is the tympanic membrane. Now what is happening? The vibrations of the eardrum causing sound waves, which are then further carried to the middle ear, which comprises of three ossicles, that is malleus, incus and stapes. So these three ossicles are carrying forward, they are connected in a chain like fashion. So they are carrying forward the waves to the inner ear, right? So the stapes is entering the cochlea of the inner ear. You all remember, through the oval window, right? So what is happening? Up till here it is clear. Now in class 11 you have to study in little detail and about some very important terms in the internal ear or the inner ear. So it is also called the labyrinth, and it comprises of the cochlea, the semicircular canals and the vestibules. So about them, the structure in detail you have to remember and you have to study. So I am elaborating a little about the study of this, about the structures in the inner ear, that is the labyrinth. As I said, it consists of two parts, the bony and the membranous labyrinth. The bony labyrinth is a series of channels. The bony labyrinth is a series of channels, and inside these channels, what is there? There lies the membranous labyrinth, which is surrounded by a fluid called perilymph. So the perilymph is there surrounding. Okay, the bony labyrinth is a series of channels. There are two types of this labyrinth, that is bony and membranous. So bony labyrinth is surrounded by a fluid called perilymph, and the membranous labyrinth is inside the bony labyrinth. The membranous labyrinth is filled. The membranous labyrinth is again, they are all fluid filled channels. So the membranous labyrinth is filled with the endolymph, right? The coiled portion of the labyrinth, the coiled portion of the inner ear is called the cochlea. The membranes constituting cochlea. So these are the terms, as I said, you have to remember this class 11 students. That there are two cochlea you have already heard, I am sure. But there are two membranes of the cochlea. They are the resonance and the basilar. This you have to remember. Two membranes of the cochlea, because they are very important as far as hearing is concerned, particularly the basilar membrane. The resonance and the basilar divide the surrounding perilymph filled bony labyrinth, perilymph filled bony labyrinth. They divide, these membranes are dividing this perilymph filled bony labyrinth into an upper scala vestibuli, and a lower scala tympani. So these two names also you have to remember, the upper scala vestibuli and the lower scala tympani, right? The space within the cochlea, what is the space called within the cochlea? It is called the scala media. Students, you have to remember this scala media. What I am trying to do is, I am mentioning the words, the terms which are there new for you in this class 11. The other, it is no use of repeating the other things which you already you have studied and you are already remembering. You have to give emphasis on certain terms and words which are new for you all in this class. So, and that is why I am repeating these lines and these terms, about these terms. So, the space in the cochlea is called what? Scala media, and is filled with endolymph. At the base of the cochlea, the scala vestibuli, at the base of the cochlea, the scala vestibuli ends at the oval window. Ends at the oval window. While the scala tympani terminates at the round window which opens to the middle ear. So this is the setup there. The scala tympani terminates in the round window which opens to the middle ear. The scala vestibuli ends at the oval window. Right? There are windows in the cochlea. Now the organs of Corti is very important. Organ of Corti, which is very important for hearing, is a structure located on the basilar membrane. Which membrane is having this organ of Corti? It is the basilar membrane, which contains hair cells that act as auditory receptors. These are the receptors or hair cells on the basilar membrane of the cochlea. This is very clear. The hair cells are present in rows. The hair cells are present in rows on the internal side of the organ of Corti. In the internal side, there are hairs which are present in rows. They are the receptors, auditory receptors. The basal end of the hair cell is in close contact. The basal end of the hair cell is in close contact with the afferent nerve fibers. A large number of processes called stereocilia are projected from the apical part of each hair cell. Stereocilia are the processes, number of processes which are called stereocilia are projected from the apical part of each hair cell. Apical part and the upper part, these the stereocilia are projected. Above the rows of the hair cells is a thin elastic membrane. Above the rows of the hair cells and the basilar membrane of the cochlea, there is what? There is a membrane which is called tectorial membrane. Right? Up to here it is clear. Now going further, the inner ear also contains a complex system called vestibular apparatus located above the cochlea. The vestibular apparatus is composed of 3 semicircular canals and the otolith. The otolith is what? Macula is the sensory part of sculi and article. Each semicircular canal lies in a different plane at right angles to each other. Okay. The membranous canals are suspended in the perilimb of the bony canals. This you can understand little better. You see, the semicircular canal is a set of 3 fluid-filled canals arranged at right angles to each other. One end of each canal enlarges into a swelling called the ampulla. The cristae in the semicircular ducts are the sense organs of dynamic equilibrium. When we are moving, our body balance is maintained. This is how the ear maintains the body balance, right? By the semicircular canal, and this is how it maintains. But dynamic equilibrium is the maintenance of body position in response to movement. Otoliths are particles of calcium carbonate CaCO3 present in the endolymph of the semicircular canals and vestibule. When the body moves, the fluid moves and the otoliths strike the hairs of the sensory cells in the cristae of the semicircular canals. These then convey the impulses to the brain, cerebellum, which then maintain balance. So how the cerebellum, we say, maintains body balance, this is how it maintains, right? Because of the semicircular canals in the inner ear. When we spin around, the fluid in the canal continues to spin for a short time even after we stop spinning. That is why we often lose our balance or feel dizzy when we halt suddenly after spinning around. Right, children? Now, vestibule, it constitutes the oval central portion of the labyrinth. It consists of two sacs called the atricle and the saculi. These sacs are connected to each other by a small duct. The semicircular canals project upward from the posterior part of the vestibule. The vestibule is concerned with static equilibrium. Static equilibrium is the orientation of the body relative to pull of gravity. So, the vestibule is responsible for static equilibrium when we are not moving. It is the orientation of the body relative to the pull of gravity, right? So you understand how the dynamic equilibrium and the static equilibrium is maintained, students. So this I tried to explain in a little simpler way. And now how this mechanism of hearing is taking place. So this is very simple. What has happened? You are all remembering that the pinna has collected vibrations from the air, and now the vibrations are being carried to the eardrum, that is tympanic membrane, through the external auditory canal, as you see in the diagram. So now the eardrum vibrates and the sound waves are produced, which are further carried by the three ossicles, malleus, incus and stapes, to the cochlear. Okay. Now, what is happening then? The incus, malleus, incus and stapes are connected to the oval window. The vibrations are passed. They are entering through the oval window to the cochlea. The vibrations are passed through the oval window onto the fluid of the cochlea, where they generate waves in the limbs. The waves in the limbs induce a ripple in the basilar membrane of the cochlea. These movements of the basilar membrane bend the hair cells. The basilar membrane will move and they will bend the hair cells, pressing them against the tectoral membrane. So tectoral membrane will be pressed by these moving hair cells. As a result, nerve impulses are generated in the associated afferent neurons. These impulses are transmitted by the afferent fibers via auditory nerves to the auditory cortex of the brain when the impulses are analyzed and the sound is recognized. So you understood what has happened? These impulses have been generated because the tectoral membrane has been pressed by the moving hair cells which are there at the basilar membrane of the cochlea. As a result, nerve impulses have been generated in the associated afferent neurons. In the associated neurons, the impulse is generated. These impulses then transmitted to the auditory cortex of the brain, and then we are able to analyze and recognize the sound properly. So this is how the mechanism of hearing takes place. So student, I think this is enough in the chapter of ear. Now you just go on studying this, learn this and try to understand and memorize. Okay. So I end my video here. Thank you very much for listening and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you once again. God bless you all.